Welcome very, very much to Conversations. We got a friend of mine, an old dear friend of mine, who is an artist of great capability and of interest, and his name is William Vinci. And we've known each other for a very many decades. He's a fortunate fellow. He's got one of the nicest ladies there is on the planet as his wife, and I think and hope that he appreciates that as much as she is deserving of being appreciated. But in any event, William, thank you very much for coming to the studio. We're going to talk about art and restoration and some of these matters. But again, welcome very much to the friend. It's good to see you again, old friend.
Long time though. How you doing?
Give
Good.
my best to
Thank you. The architect.
The architect.
Thank you.
So you're an artist, and you have been ever since I've known you, and so forth. And yet you've also taken a particular interest in restorative aspects of art, items from the past that have reason to have careful consideration of the restoration. That's something you've become very involved with. But maybe you could just share with me. You've been artistic ever since you were just a youngster and so forth? Or how does the artistic impetus manifest in you? And maybe how does it manifest in people in general? Or where does it come from? What is your thought about that? DNA, yeah, okay.
Family,
yeah.
Lucky enough to be around talented people.
Family members.
Absolutely,
huh?
yeah.
The family was an artistic one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep, all the way through. And been fortunate enough to study with and apprentice with some amazing artists. Angelo Savelli. I apprenticed with him, studied with him for 11 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
And brought me to working with different mediums. Working with plaster being one of them, and just being interested. And how things, materials.
Yeah, right.
And
as well as painting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then appreciating
history.
The history of the art and the I'm going to use an overworked term, the wonder of the artistic expression when it's well done. Yeah,
right.
It's a balm to world society.
Just historically, yeah. One, as a modernist, being involved with modern painting, abstract, and then having a 1 foot planted firmly in the past, just to the dedication of preserving historical artifacts and works of art. And I've come full circle and I started a new, a while ago, I started a business, Pure Plaster, working and restoring historical conservation and bringing back and preserving historical landmark spots in and around the country and New York.
You mean artworks that exist around the country?
Plaster, sculptures and plaster, and primarily in New York, and which is there's a lot. You don't really have to go anywhere else.
But, New York's the real center of all kinds of artistic expression.
That said, the materials and working with metal and working with Angelo Savelli, learning a lot of the modern aspects of his craft and modern art, and working in his studio with him. And then I've taken it to, now I started, we have a studio out east in East Hampton called Vinci CFAR. It's a restoration, it's conservation and restoration for fine artwork.
You have a workspace out there.
Yes, a studio, full studio. My artwork is there, and we do all the restoration there. And so we've been doing this. I've been involved in this for the last 5 years. But in the 80s, I had a chance to. I was given an opportunity to a private collection. Restoring a Calder, Alexander Calder mobile, which was a 10-month endeavor. Very important piece. And then I've taken it to the next level, studying materials, paper, again, and paint. The industry standard these days is that things have to be reversible.
I don't know what that
Well,
means.
you can't put whatever technique you use on in a restoration process. You can't put something over something that can't be, whether it's sculpture, a painting, that can't be reversed when in time, because what happened over many decades is that people came with no license, just weekend warriors of the art restorers would come and just put anything, like for instance on the George Segal that I had an estate collection that I worked on. One of the pieces at the estate collection was a George Segal.
Would that be a painting?
It was a sculpture. It was a plaster sculpture.
You work with sculpture and painting,
right?
Or art,
and right.
Yeah.
And what they did was there was cracks in the plaster. So whoever got their hands on it previous, put a synthetic epoxy resin, and it turned brown, and it makes things worse. So if you know.
And that would have been somebody who didn't know what they were doing.
Well, that's the point.
And
so
you have to have a great aesthetic capability to appreciate and do it right in a way.
It's like anything else.
And you've developed that.
Yeah.
And have that. That's characteristic of the work you do.
Thank you. But
it takes a great sensitivity, I would think. Yeah.
An appreciation. Of course. Love of historical. It's really like I said, one foot is planted firmly in history. Study of art history, which is something that I majored in for a while, and so. With that said, so when you approach the restoration process and you have something that was made worse by something that somebody
like
did,
the epoxy,
right? The epoxy, and at first, before you do anything, you have to get the trust has to have it insured. Then you have to have it appraised before you do it. Everything has to be documented. It's very important for the history of the piece to be documented. So, and then all those problems have to be removed and saved, and marked, sealed, and put away, filed away, and videotaped process. So you have to remove carefully what was there, get to the cause of the problem, the breaks and whatnot, and then fuse it, and then study
with the right material.
Correct material, and then there's an aged quality to the piece already, whether it's been in sun, plaster, tents in dust, and has to be cleaned. Then you want to make sure you appreciate the terrain. You have to put back structurally, and the topical visual. It all has to match. It can't look like white. And bleached white, and everything has to be, uniform.
Or some yellowed epoxy. I mean,
monochromatic,
even.
Right. I mean, that's just for, let's say, for this, for lack of a better word, on the plaster. But so that's one thing, and so everything that's done, there's a story for everything, and it has to be studied. The way I do it, I research, make sure I have, you never think you know too much. You want to get, you study the piece, already, you have to have the background, and then you have to do your own parallel studies on the history of the piece.
Yeah, the history of the piece and the person, the artist.
Absolutely.
So you want to have the knowledge of that. You can't just slapping
research
it together.
Never assume anything.
You're trying to get the sensitivity. You're getting a piece of art thing that has a sensitivity to it, and you want to capture as much as you can that by being educated to what the reality was.
Exactly.
By the artist.
Exactly. Yeah, very well said. Yes. So there's knowing the hand, reading as much as you can. You can never know too much, and then it's never to jump. Everything takes time.
Be patient.
Patience is
a virtue. They say, yeah, right. They do say that. It's a saying, and it makes sense.
You can never have enough patience.
Yeah, you think, right.
Always, and just it's careful and deliberate.
So you're very, very well ensconced, is a term that's overworked and everything, in the wondrous world of quality and gorgeous and meaningful artistic expression. Not a bad place to dwell. I mean, do you count yourself privileged to be able to be in such a position rather than not knowing the difference between a black and a white or something like that? Like so many people have no aesthetic appreciation at all. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Have you been like that all your life? When you were a little boy, were you like that?
Yeah.
And what do you account for it? Was it in the family? I heard you say it.
Yeah.
Too bad you couldn't have got a name with a little bit more artistic panache, you know, than Vinci. You know, it's a sad thing, but you're getting over that now?
1 foot deeply embedded in history.
Yeah, no. But the family was encouraging and everything?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well.
I heard you mention it earlier. I wasn't aware.
No choice.
Painting,
I had to do my
sculpture,
thing.
Out of your early experience?
Yeah, I had to do just.
When was the first thing you ever did? Can you remember when you were 5 years old or back 7 or anything like that?
Yeah.
Were you in that thing?
A huge sculpture from Q-tip toothpicks.
You made one, you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was always sticking things together.
Yeah. And you do your own art.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about you as a restorer, an appreciativeness for the restoring of the art. That's a special quality, it seems to me, and people would. And I think it must word gets around the art world. It's not that large a world, the meaningful art world. It's not a relatively small number of people that have that appreciation and so forth. So word probably gets around. One gets to know another and all that kind of thing, right?
Well, it's more collectors, and you know.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying collectors. Do the collectors of art? Do they necessarily? I'm going to be really
Christie's and Sotheby's.
No. I'm going to be really gauche now, talking and everything, because it's not something I'm familiar with. But are the collectors really schooled in understanding and really appreciating the art as a work of art? Yeah. Rather than just something that's got so much money value that they want to have it in their collection to make a lot of money, or as an investment. Well, what's the reality of the people who are part of that coterie of being involved in the art world?
I find they're extremely knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tend to be.
Yeah, it's generational. You know, like the collection I worked on, the father was, bought a lot of art for the family, but then they're all very knowledgeable. They all want to be part of the learning process, and as it's handed down, they learn more and more. I think it's a great thing, you know, to have the wherewithal and the ability to purchase. Because you buy art, people who buy art because they love it, always wound up because they want to see it. It's always better to purchase and to be around art because you love to see it, not because you want to make a fortune.
Yeah, but aren't there a lot of people who don't give a hang about it except as an investment?
Well,
it's
like anything
like a
else.
Building or real estate
it's
or
like
anything.
It's like anything else. Yeah. But the people who appreciate it,
but you're dealing
and have it around in their homes their whole life. It gives them, from what I've seen, it gives them such nourishment about the just the interests of the people who exceeded these pieces, and you know, the history of where they're from,
and they appreciate
and it gives them a whole so much more of an appreciation for travel. I mean, just vast reasons it's so important to have it around them. It's nourishing. It's, you know, it's.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just saying there's other people. That's a that's a thing that they'd be happy to have somebody like yourself who is really those who are really appreciative of it that way wouldn't do something like use some silly epoxy that would not be well informed. The person who's going to do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's some people just slap something together and let's get the sale on the way, and they're not. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at, is the people that really can appreciate fully the meaning of the art.
Well,
and that, you know, I don't know how many people there are.
There's for every piece of work, there's a story. So I mean, who knows why? You know, whether it's exposed to sunlight, whether it's been traveling to shows around the world, they get hit, whether there are worms that come into the frame. I mean, there's a million, for every piece of work, there's a story. So there's always something, you know, who threw a shoe, I mean, who broke something. And then what happens is sometimes people just take it upon themselves. They don't know any better, you know. Times change, you know, when the work is hanging in someplace in the hilltop and something gets damaged, the owner might feel like they'd want to patch it up themselves.
Yeah, right.
And then they don't know any better until 8, 10 years later, 15 years later, things start to turn, you know, it discolors everything, you know.
That old piece falls up
you
in
know,
the attic,
cleaning an oil painting with the, you know, and then all of a sudden, with the wrong materials, it starts to cloud, and you wonder why this is. So, you know, everything is.
I wonder what is the meaningful expression of these things that are so important and everything like that widespread among the population. We think of it as a great gift that certain people have had. Usually, I can remember as a layman. Mr. Van Gogh was down there. He had some psychological. He was down in Arles, I think, or something, and he had his brother up there trying to get the people in the museums where the thing is done. And he was painting all these paintings, and he couldn't sell them even to get a bottle of wine or something like that because the people in the gallery couldn't appreciate the beauty of what he was doing. So there's a lot of wannabes. First of all, it's got some cachet. If you're in the upper class, you want to be able to just show off. And all of these kind of false values that can be manifest within, well, I guess any object of exchange among the society and everything, you know. But he couldn't sell anything, even though it wasn't recognized at the time.
History is littered with those situations.
But the guys who were setting the pace for that were in the museums, and they couldn't see the quality of what was there.
You know,
is it true that many of the great artists aren't recognized in their own time? Well, Michelangelo wasn't he? Yeah. Are the great artists that exist now? There are a lot of artists who think they're great, or you know, or their mother thinks they're great, and that. But the you know what I'm saying, right? That artistic world is it must be an interesting place to dwell.
Yeah,
and you are like an artist, and you have an artist sensibility.
Yeah. Well,
you know, is it rare that people have a real appreciation, either as the makers of art or of the you know, the dealers in art or anything like that? I'm just asking questions out of the blue.
Well.
It sounds jaundiced on my part. Maybe it is. You know?
Yeah, you know.
And it might go over to values and people who really have a sensitivity about them in general, about in the society. How many people are there that are able to appreciate the finer things rather than just the mundane thing? How am I going to get another piece of bread or something, or whatever motivates most human behavior and thought? That's what I guess I'm getting at as a thing. And you would be involved with the people who claim to be involved with that artistic expression and the value of what
it takes all kinds, Harold. Yeah. You know, it's all kinds. You know, you just it's like anything else. You know, every field has its you know. There's, you know, I treat the artifacts and the things that come into my hands with great care because I want to preserve and restore and return them in case of an issue with damage, or when I'm trying to return them to the how I feel.
The artist would have had.
I mean, and that's why
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You got
I
a
do
sensitivity
full-time.
to that. Yeah.
You need to kind of breathe.
Yeah.
You know, and know what the hands, you know, kind of sleep with it.
Yeah.
I want to close my eyes and feel what is going on, the follicle, you know, hair follicles, whatever it is. Just kind of to immerse myself into the whole emotional visual of before I execute. But to deliver it back to where
You have
I
the-
believe,
yeah,
you know, where it should be. You
Yeah.
know, and it's important because, you know, these things are so important to be preserved.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it's the cultural heritage of the world and everything.
and there was,
yeah.
you know, there's
There's so many people who give it such short shrift, you know, it's for some new thing that is just very passing and has no real lasting value. You obviously have a sensibility that appreciates really fine art.
well, and,
Yeah.
I'll treat anything,
Yeah.
you know, if it, whether it's more recent
Uh-huh.
or I take one approach, and I work with blinders on. It doesn't value, whether it's a $2 million Wilfredo lamb, who happened to be Pablo Picasso's very good friend, either an oil painting by Wilfredo Lamb
Uh-huh.
or a $300 painting by someone who that was damaged. The paper happens. It's just, they're all important. Everything should be treated that way, you know, and it shouldn't be looked at as one less. So your approach is always the same, you know, no matter how. Because once you feel you relax on anything, you know, then you change your perspective of what you're doing, and you know, it's just an operation. It's like I was a surgeon.
Yeah.
I treat every person
Right.
the same. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, in my view.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how I approach my work.
Yeah, you've been like that ever since I've known you a long time and everything.
know.
And you also do your own work.
Oh.
This restoration is one thing, but you're also, I can remember you doing a piece where you're doing plastering that had such of a wall. It was a thing within a you know, a restaurant area, but it was gorgeous. It
Yeah,
was gorgeous
that was
with
many-
layering and everything. And you explained it to me, the layering that was there, that I had a hard time being sort of not so artistically
was-
sensitive. But it was finally like the scales fell from my eyes as you explained it to me, and you were able to explain it, and you were, more importantly, you were able to create it.
Well,
It must be wonderful to be very, very
Well,
creative.
that, if I remember correctly, I think that was kind of like, you know, it was a commission. I work on commissions,
Yeah.
and that's how I found, you know, that everybody has an angle to do it. I've always felt comfortable I've been fortunate enough to have an art backer for many years, a music executive, and who's backed my work, and I've been given opportunities to have private parties and just in getting personal, private and commissions to work on murals and whatnot, and that's one of them that you saw. I worked with Angelo Savelli on numerous, and what happened was when he got older, I started working and taking care of his work.
Is that the
when he
man
was
that you were inspired by?
one of them?
There was
one of
there
them,
was a
Angelo.
fellow
I was
downtown
right,
somewhere.
Angelo Savelli.
Yeah, that was the guy
Right.
you were inspired by. Yeah,
One
yeah,
of them, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I remember. Yeah,
you know,
that's passing it on generationally too.
absolutely.
That's an important part of aesthetic. Yeah.
That's the way. So you know, it's just, it just leads. It's just been leading in many, you know, and to work with different materials constantly, you know, is something that
You're
is
talking about
become an
yourself
asset.
now. You're walking yourself.
Yeah. So it's become it's through the years, you know, you don't realize it, but I've built up a reservoir of knowledge of different materials. You know,
Yeah,
I've worked with
materials are
stone for
very
many years.
important, yeah, to understand.
You
yeah.
know, I had
and
a-
each material has its own characteristics
Right.
that you got to work with. Yeah.
Absolutely, you got to work with it, right? And so that's using the resources, and so it's only helped, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and I put it all together, and I've been doing now personal estate collections, and they I get involved with I've just finished one for I worked on for the last 4 years, and amongst other things.
Wait a minute, is this an original work of yours or something you're
No,
restoring?
it was a collection.
You got two different hats, if I may. You restore stuff or deal with it that others have done, then you're also a creative artist on your own.
Exactly.
Right? I want to make sure we cover
no,
both.
No,
okay?
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
but
because I know both are operative in your case.
Well, this particular thing is the conservation is important for me because like I said, I just finished a substantial collection. Like I said, amongst other things I was doing, and it was very gratifying. It was very gratifying because there was metal sculptures, there was paper. Very important
in
works,
the one
drawings,
in the whole collection,
right? And there was a Victor Vasarely, which is he was the grandfather of op art. It's
really?
Platinum paper that separated and that needed another completely different dynamic on how to get it back to its original state, and so. There's it's challenging. It's almost like being I was always interested in when I was very young being a detective. I always detective work, investigation, undercover.
Do you see a connection between detective work
and archaeology? I was very interested in archaeology too.
We just did a program with a leading archaeologist of the world.
So discovering. Yeah. Looking and discovering, and then there's a trail. So you follow the trail. Yeah. You do your research, and then when you come upon the site or the issue, you have to back off. You can't trample it. So you have to, and then you have to study it, and you have to slow it down.
Yeah.
Then when you get to where you are going, you have to slow it down, and then study it, and then. In archaeology, you have to, you carefully approach the area. So it's all very careful execution of endeavors, So.
Well, he is also that's part of the intellectual. I mean, life can be very, very mundane. Lives of many people are very mundane.
Not
you
in
know
New
what
York.
I mean? What? Not in New York?
No.
In New York, it seems to be a lot of people are artists on every corner. That can do it and everything.
Well, I never chased that.
No, but
I never chased that.
But with him, we were talking about how important it is to have a feeling for the past, and that's something that appreciation of the past. And then you get to be where you could start thinking of the past as the present that gives you a view of the future, and we could be thinking about the future and where we're going and what's it all about, Alfie. The larger questions can be manifest in the thinking of people who are appreciative of the artistic expression.
Yeah.
It seems to me.
Absolutely.
And there's camaraderie between the various disciplines, history or whatever. There's a lot of camaraderie.
Absolutely.
It's part of the intellectual exercise.
Yeah, you have to approach it that way, and it's
Did
not.
you go to school and things like that? You
yeah.
studied with people,
yes,
right?
studied with people. I went to school, different fine art schools, but in particular, it's you hit upon something that's interesting. It's
Wow. Okay.
That that appreciation of you were bringing up about the archaeology and the appreciation that you were talking about. What was his name again? The show you did.
Joel Grossman.
Yeah.
That was him.
Yeah, you
He's a leading archaeologist,
Yeah.
He worked with Carl Sawyer, as did I.
So
and we had a connection because we worked in the same field, kind of.
So what's
I did
the
a couple
magic?
digs down in Bolivia.
Did you? What's the magic? What was the magic of? I mean, the magic of discovering.
Well,
is
you're
to
asking
bring
me now.
bring
I'm
back.
supposed to ask you.
Bring back.
But I'll deal with.
No, but to bring back. I mean,
I'm interested in virtually everything, and I'm so glad that I am. I would be so bored if it was just nothing more than where in the hell is another dollar coming from, and the normal things that people are concerned with, and they call it practicality.
Well,
I'm totally impractical.
Right.
Do you think the artists are impractical or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
they
I'm
are
doing this to
the
importance,
humor and things, and
Yeah, absolutely. But the beauty of it is that, the great gift is that of the pool of information that is stored and what I'm able to execute and to fulfill onto these and bring back to give back a piece in near perfect condition after it's been in dire straits, and to see the client's face and to see it up on the wall, reframed, and preserved for the next generation is priceless. You can't, you can't look at it to be like. That's the importance. That's it. That's the gift, right?
Can you get the same thing as a bond trader or something where you're 1/4 point? You're just you know what I'm saying?
No.
All these things that are just oriented toward a materialistic thing, money and everything. It's a thing that, and I'm trying to see connections between your thing and mine, let's say, or people intellectually interesting questions that people deal with, rather than just the mundane things that they feel they have to deal with because of. Is it a luxury thing to be able to think about something other than, or think of history? We've been here 200,000 years as a species, and most of that time, let's say the women particularly, they haven't given them the attention. Men are going around all beasts with big sticks, hitting each other on the head and fighting over who gets to eat the carrion that's around, or some little thing that, you understand, all in a condition of not enough. There's no room for anything other than just get some food for the kid. Do you understand that kind of thing? That kind of thing is still driving so much of the human society.
Right.
And there's transformation between art or archaeology or history or anthropology or other things that are intellectually interesting and so forth. And there's not enough condition to that other than everything is turning. The reason they have educational things going now, mostly the people have, or maybe it's a group. Maybe some people have been, in history, they've been able to be freed from having to be concerned with the immediate thing of having something to eat or something, scarcity.
Right.
Do you think we're getting to be more and more people are able to be concerned with the finer things than have been able to be? When you had a few people living in a castle up on the hill in feudal times, most of the people were walling around in the mud. All they had to do was try to let the kid live for another couple days or something. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is it getting to be where people can become interested in the finer things and the more important things because the society is becoming more able to allow for a certain degree of freedom from just the immediate thing of taking care of the immediate material needs or something?
No, I think.
Do you think the number of people that are, or do you think the people that are able to be in that are of a different way than the masses of the people? Or?
Yeah.
You do. You think the artistic.
Masses of
okay. Well, I just brought it up as a thought that came into my head.
Going out to the everybody.
You don't think everybody could be an artist? Or wait a minute, that's a question, isn't it? The Balinese, Billy, the Balinese have a saying. They say, "We have no art." Now you're not going to like this, maybe, or maybe you are. Or this is a point of departure.
Try me.
Yeah. Okay. The Balinese have a saying, and this is what they say: "We have no art. We do everything as well as possible." What do you think of that?
Okay.
Like raising a child, or being empathetically in tune with the child, or
is
with
that
the
like
person?
There's no solution? Is that like there's no solution because there's no problem?
Oh, well, I haven't heard that one. There's no solution because there's no problem. Or you could turn it around and say there's no problem and therefore we don't need a solution or something.
It's more to the point the first way. But
I'm bringing up all this stuff sort of off the top of my head and everything. But I think we're at a time of, I think it's becoming more and more available that people don't have to be...
Instant gratification?
No, not instant gratification. You're not going to be doing what you really want to do or that is really worthwhile. You're doing what you have to do is a thing that's installed in the masses. you know, the serfs under the legions and stuff. They didn't do what they wanted to do or could do. They had to do it because they had to, and they'd be beaten if they didn't. You know?
Then there's
that ethic is still there in a lot of people's minds.
And then if you're lucky, you have 3 or 4 years to do whatever you want to do.
Maybe at the end, you mean?
That's it.
Just a few minutes, if you have that, even or it might never.
Time's up.
They may never be able to get out of anything other than just the immediate practicality.
Well, that's the choices.
Of eating
that's the choices we make. You know,
yeah.
I mean, and to take the conscious, you know, I mean, there's no choice when people become musicians because people, you know, do what they do. People just have to get yeah. You know, they have to live on the hill. So, I mean,
wait a minute, what's that's a metaphor? Live on a hill?
Well,
Musicians?
you know, like you said, downtown, you mentioned Wall Street, but, you know, it's like, why do what we do? Why do what I do? I mean, it's
well, I'm not
you know,
talking
it's
necessarily
something,
you
there's
and me.
nothing else I could
yeah.
do.
Yeah. You think, yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's look at that smile. That's somebody that really knows. That's great. And what a great thing to have a sense of purpose, like.
That's exactly right.
You know, that's really important. What if you had no purpose other than what? I mean, what?
Can't do it.
Yeah.
You know.
You're looking for something to do or something.
Yeah.
Would that be a problem that there aren't enough things of interest for the people to do if they're left on their own?
Well,
if they were, suppose everybody's got the ability to have enough of everything you need, like there's a house and there's a hot shower and there's food and there's all these things that everybody's been longing for, the masses of the people of the world, even if you take it like that. Well, maybe it get to be where everybody can have that just as a matter of course. And what are people going to do? They're going to be interested in the finer things. Do you think there's something to that?
Mm-mm.
You know, tell me, what do you think is going to happen to the masses of the world when they don't have to be slaves? Most of the people of the world throughout most of the history have been slaves to people with the power that can instill that in them.
This is changing.
No, okay, it is
We
changing.
just have to find you know, you have to find your way through it, you know. People, that's what culture is so important.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, music and art, and that's the powers to be want to pull the plug as much as possible.
Want to pull the plug
on funding for the arts and you know, because they, you know, it's all dumbing down, and you know, that's
it's all dumbing down.
Yeah, there's something to this. There's a philosophical. There's a whole. That's you know. So you got to fight through it. We have to support the arts as much as possible, and make sure that you know, if the grants are not coming through, we have to do what we can do to help community, you know, music in schools, for instance. It's so important.
Let me just make
because
a point.
when a child actually, they don't realize it. You know, children, when they study an instrument, they're better off in math. I mean, it's all tied together. And they don't, like I said, those powers to be who want to pull the plug on resourcing, on funding arts programs for schools and universities, and especially, you know, elementary schools. You know, it's so important because, you know, the culture of art and music is and even science. I mean, very important.
Okay, you got off into
very. Oh my God! So this is the whole dumb. You know, just kind of like, just make it like, you know, it's not that. It's not that important. You know, it's the worst thing that can happen. We need to fight against that and make sure that that the youngsters are exposed as much as they can to art, museums, and music and instruments for the schools. You know, so do whatever you can.
Those are all things that
very important.
If they're in the right frame of mind, you wouldn't have to expose them to them. You would just.
Who's in there?
It's thought to be. You've got to be practical.
Yeah,
that's what the thing that seems to be mostly taught. Make yourself, and don't try to get off on a cloud 9 where you're going to be off in something, you know. But listen, we got off on another track.
Because that all connects with travel too.
Yeah.
They're involved in music and the arts. Then they're going to want to investigate. They want to travel. The youth want. Then they want to go. We want to take the best thing to do is culturally, do a cultural exchanges.
Yeah.
with the
Lead a life of the mind and the spirit and everything like that. Suppose we get where everybody can do that instead of having to be just concerned about doing what you're told. It's like everybody's being told to do what you're anyway.
Never
but
listened.
the problem is I get off on things I shouldn't do it. Okay,
Well,
and I'm sorry. And the thing is, don't we have some pictures of yours that we're going to try and include in here? Josiane, do we have some images or something, or not?
There's a few.
What do you think?
I think I might have mentioned them
Now,
already.
what are we going to see? Some of the work of yours?
I'm not sure.
Or some
No,
of
not mine. Not
work
mine.
you're restoring?
Not mine. These are not mine. That's the.
Look at that.
That's the George Siegel.
Talk to it. What is
that's
George?
the George Siegel. That's
Talk about George Siegel if you can.
George Siegel, famous American sculptor, plaster, busts. That's after it was restored. It had many issues. There's no before shots. That's a completed. There's the one on the bottom.
What is it? What's
it's a
the
plaster.
medium? It's plaster.
It's plaster. Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
a plaster relief.
Yeah.
And it's in a private collection, and it was quite extensively damaged. And then there was George Siegel's in the studio. I think there's the only before shot. Is the bottom left one. I don't know if you can.
Do you know what he's talking about? A bottom left.
The one on the bottom left. No, that's the Victor Baldessari, and that's in platinum paper. It had it buckled from heat, so the paper there was inhesion, and it came up and had to be repressed very carefully.
And this is something you'd worked on and restoring?
That's finished.
Now, what did you have to do, and how did you? What is?
Well, that's the complication. The before and afters are not here.
What's the medium? Is
it's
it?
a paper. Victor Baldessari was is the grandfather of op art. And his images were, op art in the early 70s. You look one side, it changes no matter with the light, and that particular one is it's on platinum paper. So they're etched. Those little circles are etched, so the light refracts off of them in different ways, and it creates different images. And he created this. It's brilliant, but there was a heat source behind it accidentally, and it brought the paper away from its foundation, its backing.
And this is a piece you had treated?
I treated that. That's finished. And then let's see what else. I don't even know what's next.
Have we got another image?
This is this is a 20th century figurine, and it was severely damaged.
Yeah.
Just one of we just took a few samples of some slides. There's many, and it was just the process. There was a process of, I think there's a before and after. This is into already the restoration. There were family in the family collection.
Yeah, this is midway in
more or less, and then it had to be carefully filled and with proprietary fillers because of the composite of the head. So you have to make sure that whatever obviously there's a few options, very few. After time again, you don't want it to go back. So you fill it and make sure that it adheres the right way, and it's not going to expand and contract, and it's safe.
I suppose you need to have things timed too. You do a little bit and
yes,
then let that settle, and then do it. You
very
don't be rushed.
Never,
right.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's like it's like performing a head surgery. That's, and then it's carefully, and then you have the surface, if you will, the surface terrain, the pigments. There's a certain kind of, everybody has a complexion, if you will. So
is that black at the top of the
yeah,
head? Like
hair.
what was hair?
Yeah, it's painted, and then you have to, you want to be able to give that aged quality. So
do you mean to do more restoration?
No,
on this?
they have the finished one. The next, I think the next slide.
Is there another?
Yeah,
slide
that's.
there? Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
is that the same piece?
Yeah.
That's the head.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just there was a bunch of wooden figurines, 2 of them, 3 of them in this collection, and.
Who is the work? Who's the artist?
It's unnamed. It's just the early 20th century, late 19th century wood figurine. And so it's wood. Just there was a smattering. I took a few different slides out. There was so many, but of the different mediums. So that's happens to be wood. The previous one was plaster. So then there's the Wilfredo lamb. I think the next one coming up is a Wilfredo. It's an isolated shot of a Wilfredo lamb who was a Cuban painter. Very, very important work, appraised. And this was a careful execution. It was damaged, and there was overpainting with the wrong materials. There were clouds in the oil. There was a few tears. And so again, some of the outlines were faded, and everything, the materials used, again, very important, to be reversible. So whatever is put down, the studio is done in such a way where it can be brought back to the way it was before I got my hands on it. So, but everything is documented.
Yeah. Well, is the way it was before? If you got a piece, let's say it's faded.
Except obviously the tears. We're not. Yeah.
Do you have photographs of before how it did and everything that you worked
absolutely,
from, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder.
Videos, tapes. So this was a Wilfredo lamb. Also, is a drawing from him. Also very famous. Yeah. He was very close with Pablo Picasso. They were good friends. He had a very interesting life, Wilfredo. Like I said, he was Cuban. I believe his father was Chinese, and his mother's Cuban African. And this is paper. And this is after, but I should, I think on the website you'll see the before shots.
Is that pencil?
It's ink.
Ink, it is ink. Okay,
ink drawing, and then, but he did it in pencil first.
Yeah.
But what happened was with this particular piece on paper, which is it's roughly 15 by 9 or 10, and what happened was it looked to me the paper was all blunt damage, so it looked like the edge of somebody took the glass off the frame and dropped it, and across the center it was all torn.
So this is completed.
Yeah,
finish.
It was blunt. It was blunt.
Now where is this piece now?
That's reframed.
No, where is it at the moment?
In the client's collection.
Where is that?
In Manhattan.
In Manhattan, I see. Okay.
And this is a pretty famous piece.
Before picture?
Yes, I do. Not here.
Not here. We don't be able to see it. It'd be interesting to see.
So that was again. Now I just took before we got set up, I just took a few just to give.
That's a real skill you've got to be able to get.
So that's paper, and then this is just this was the seagull.
Yeah.
In its in operation of restoration. One of the works that were going on in the studio. How much of your work is restoration and how much is your own original now? It depends. You know what? Right now I have some things going on that I'm concentrating on. Once I concentrate on
You had a fellow that was inspirational to you, an artist. A guy downtown somewhere.
Angelo Savelli.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you had. He was an older man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Harriet Glazier.
Harriet Glazier was great.
Wonderful. She did cityscapes.
Yeah, cityscapes.
Cityscapes.
And,
I think I modeled for her one time. And,
yeah, and she had pieces of people whose legs were coming out of a window.
Three-dimensional.
And it was foreshortened perspective. It was really good mix of painting and sculpture.
Very well. She started the female art movement downtown in Soho before there wasn't even. She had one of the first lofts down in Crosby Street.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and
16.
you know, the female artists were non-existent. She was a force, and she made it.
Who's the famous guy out of England that does all the Virgin records and everything? The guy who's a Virgin record guy.
Yeah.
He's famous now. You know.
Benson.
You remember? I can't remember.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Everybody knows he put up the Virgin records, and then he put the Virgin airline and everything like that. He had his warehouse across the street from where she was on. There was a lot of action on down there now. Where is the action at now with the art movement in terms of Manhattan? It goes from one place to another.
Chelsea all the way over the west side. Yeah. It
moves, right? It's a movable art. Movable
Greenpoint.
Feast.
Greenpoint. The hipsters, the young hipsters. Greenpoint under the bridge.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's really good, the work you've been doing and everything, and yeah, you're right. And it's really interesting then that you've been able to do so much work as you have, and you get more work than you got time for. Or do you give yourself time for to relax in that, or are you overworked, or what's the schedule like? Are you able to work a couple hours a week, or do you have to work more than that? Are you feeling too much pressure?
Never. No. That's not. It can't be.
You seem more placid now.
You can't be a byproduct.
You used to be much more what would be called frenetic.
Age.
No, that was a time ago. You used to be frenetic. It was like you were bouncing like a ball all over the place.
Anyway, I can't bounce with a ball.
No.
When I'm doing this work, Harold.
Yeah.
But
But that's really interesting, that kind of work and everything like that.
Thank you.
So, are you in touch with the art scene, as they say?
Yeah,
I guess you would
as
be.
much as possible. It's not something that. I have my contacts. I mean, of course.
Is there camaraderie between people who can do particularly your restoration? That's a particularly interesting thing. So you get people who can do some particular thing very well. Get to know other people who can do that particular thing.
Yeah,
is there
depends. It's pretty.
It's a specialization.
Yeah, it's kind of like. Yes, there is that. You were sensitive
to that, 20 years ago when you with Harriet and all that.
Right.
You were sensitive to that,
Right, but God, but it's right now. I'm pretty, fixated and focused on in the studio, and when I'm working and. Periods of time go by.
Is the restoration studio different than the one where you make your own stuff, or is it all one
same place? Yeah, but what happens is that 4 months can go by. I can be working on one piece. I worked on a Calder. It took 10 months.
10
so
months?
you work on things, and you don't realize it just you have a few things going on at once, that are important, that are completely opposite of what, you have something, and then your own personal stuff. I have a commission to do a mural, so, everything is, and then there's no time to run around.
Yeah, you're getting commissions for original work now?
Yeah.
And is your schedule getting too busy? You seem
to
have a nice way and good pallor and everything, so you're not overdrawn or overworked.
No, not at all.
You seem in very good shape.
It's not something, but that's, you need to be. You be focused and enjoy it, and that's what I do. So,
okay. Well, it's really, really, really interesting. You spend time out in East Hampton and
that's
New
where
York.
it is, right?
What part of New York? Maybe it's not fair. What part of town
Midtown.
do you live in? Midtown, New York.
Kips Bay.
Yeah.
I have a small studio there, but
You used to be in the Flatiron Building, or down
next
there
door.
somewhere.
I had a studio on 20th Street,
that was
Fifth
some
Avenue.
years ago. Yeah.
A long time ago. I had a big studio. They did a lot of original work.
What about?
It was in the building that. The landlord, Andy Warhol's landlord.
Really?
Yeah. It was 135 Fifth Avenue. Andy Warhol had the union his landlord used to get my rent, the same landlord, and used to go over to Union Square, and his building is there. Was Warhol's factory.
Oh, the factory
was in Union Square.
Yeah, the whole array of people.
Same landlord. I used to give him my rent. And
so you were part of the gang.
Well, I had my first studio. Was in the cable building.
There's a sense of camaraderie among artists, I think, right?
Yes and no.
No, yes and no. There's a lot of egos.
Yeah, yes and no. Yeah, it goes with everything else. Yeah, camaraderie, the same. It's like in anything else.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like even
you think it translates
great chefs. They don't have time to go around and have camaraderie.
No,
they'll go out at 4 in the morning and have, you know.
I don't know. When you're talking about chefs, a chef is like an artist.
Yeah, well,
it's
that's
like the art
but
world.
they work all the time. They work all the time.
Wait a minute. That's because they're running a restaurant. Or
exactly. That's well, it's like anything.
Some women who
dedicated.
don't have to do that. They're like chefs or something, or men. They're
surgeons
at home or
surgeons.
something.
You know, who has time? Once you're focused and you're doing your.
I guess like hand surgeons, would they relate to one another?
Great art drawer.
Heart operation surgeons would be forming a group. They would get together. So you're artists.
They're fine.
Do you get in touch with other members of society as an artist, or do you have a lot of friends?
Doctor
friends. And do you spend a lot of time at other people's
that are really fine artists, surgeons?
Yeah,
they're amazing.
Yeah, I know.
They.
What I'm getting at is, do people, birds of a feather flock together? Do surgeons hang out with surgeons? Do artists hang out with artists who paint? And do they ever make some cross-cultural things going more than? Do they do less of that than they ought to? Particularly like artists who do reconstruction work or.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I like separating.
Do you have a wide circle of friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the art world, or
yes, but I prefer to have dinner with
your wife.
Musicians, you know, just
you
to break it up.
Remember Richie Havens was such a good friend of ours. Richie. Wasn't he something else, man? He was really
God
good.
bless him.
Yeah.
But you know, just to separate it out and to be. To break it up and to exchange thoughts from cross.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at.
It's better than to just be.
Do you think there's too much in society? Art's one part of it, and restoring of that. You know, there's all kinds of different parts of society. It's a big, marvelous feast of things. But do you think it would be better if we had more cross mingling with the people who are in their own field with people in a field kind of far from where they are?
That's the way it should be in life, man.
Do you think it should be? Is it with you?
Well, it should be.
Do you hang out with a lot of politicians?
In New York, we do that.
Do you hang out with a lot of No, you see, artists tend to be very dismaying in terms of their attitude toward the political class. Or do you hang out with investment bankers?
No.
Well,
yes.
Should there be more?
Yes, you have to.
You understand what I'm getting
at? They have art collections.
The juices of creativity by cross-pollination with people other than the group that you're ensconced in. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're getting older now, so you can't just rest on youthful, vigor and all that.
No. You don't want to. You hit on a point.
I think I did too. I think there's something there. I think it'd be good to be able to talk to everybody, or cross-culture. You know what I'm saying?
You know, Wall Street folk. They have fine art collections.
Well, okay. So you get with the bank, you wouldn't be talking about debenture, this and that,
no, of course not.
Cut rate and the interest rate or anything. You wouldn't be talking about that over dinner. You'd be talking about, their thing. You'd be talking about their if they have a painting that they want you to restore, then you'd be able to talk. You stick to your own field, right? Or people should do well.
Out east,
should people be talking to all kinds of people and be, that's what I'm getting at.
Now you're getting off the track.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
But out east near the studio. Out east near the studio, we go and revisit people. I mean, my wife is an architect, so we go see some collections.
I hope you appreciate what a fine lady that is. You appreciate it. I hope you appreciate that, young man.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. Carol is really a gem. I hope you appreciate how lucky you are in that woman Do you, or do you every day
Harold.
make it clear to her how much you? Okay, never mind.
Harold.
All right. No, but that's just part of the question that I was getting at of mixing with, you know. And are you optimistic for the human